Good morning, brothers and sisters. This is part 2 for the names of God, in which we will continue the rest of our list. Number 6, God the Almighty, El Shaddai. When the two words are put together, El Shaddai means the mighty one, to nourish and satisfy. God pours out his provision because he is all-powerful. The ancient rabbis referred to him as the all-sufficient one. The early church made sure this name was right out in front in the Apostles' Creed, quote, I believe in God the Father Almighty. When we admit our insufficiency, the Almighty is sufficient to meet all our needs. When we are empty, God is enough. Sometimes we're burdened because we think God is not going to come through for us. Other times we're bitter because things have not worked out like we want. On occasion, we're completely broken because everything has been taken from us. That's what happened to Job. Interestingly, of the 48 occurrences of El Shaddai in the Old Testament, 31 of them are found in the book of Job. Don't miss the significance of why the name El Shaddai is used more in the book of Job than any other book. As we have established, when we are most empty, God is most evident. Job 5, verse 17, Blessed is the man whom God corrects, so do not despise the discipline of the Almighty, El Shaddai. Job 6, verse 4, The arrows of the Almighty, El Shaddai, are in me. My spirit drinks in their poison. God's terrors are marshaled against me. Job 6, verse 14, A despairing man should have the devotion of his friends, even though he forsakes the fear of the Almighty, El Shaddai. Job is doing a pushback as he wonders why his friends are so tough on him and so quick to judge. Have you noticed how when someone is down, others tend to pile on? In Job 13, verse 3, Job tells his friends that he is going directly to El Shaddai with his concerns, and that he doesn't need them to needlessly needle him. Quote, But I desire to speak to the Almighty El Shaddai and to argue my case with God. And in Job 22, verse 25, one of his friends seems to finally get it. Surely you will find delight in the Almighty El Shaddai. Ultimately, the only answer God gave to Job was himself. It was if El Shaddai said to him, Job, I am your answer. Learn who I am. When you know me, you'll know how to handle anything. Job wasn't asked to trust a plan, but a person. A personal God who is in ultimate control and knows what is best for us. This has been called the first rule of the Christian life. He is God and we are not. Number 7, the God who is there, Jehovah Shammah. In the Garden of Eden, we read that everything was perfect because the Creator, Elohim, wanted Adam and Eve to live in a place of beauty and comfort, as seen in Genesis 1, verse 9. And the Lord God made all the kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. As beautiful as the creation was, the real joy was that God himself walked in the garden in the cool of the day. God's presence was to be their greatest pleasure. Now let's fast forward to the time of King David and look at Psalm 139, verses 7 through 10. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, and your right hand will hold me fast. This passage establishes one of the Almighty's attributes referred to as the omnipresence of God. Simply stated, this means that God is always wherever he needs to be to do whatever needs to be done. He's everywhere present at the same time. He is there, he is here, He is everywhere. Jehovah Shammah is preparing a place for us. When Jesus announced to his disciples that he was leaving them, he told them that he was getting a place ready for them, and then said in John 14, verse 3, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. There's a time coming when we will be in his presence, and as John 17, verse 24 says, we will behold his glory. Number 8, God the healer, Jehovah Rapha. The word Rapha is used some 60 times in the Old Testament. It means to restore, to heal, or to cure physically, emotionally, and spiritually. In 1 Kings 18, verse 30, we get a picture of what Rapha means when we read that Elijah repaired Rapha, the altar of Jehovah. In 2 Kings 2:21, God heals Rapha, the water, when Elisha throws salt in the spring. The word has the idea of restoring something to its original state. Sometimes we are in need of healing in areas like David was in Psalm 6, 2-3. Emotional. Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am faint. Physical. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are in agony. And spiritual. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord? At other times, one of these areas seems to take precedence as the bitterness that comes from brokenness breaks through. God reveals himself as Jehovah Rapha when we are in need. Number 9 is the God of power, Jehovah Sabaoth. Jehovah Sabaoth, which is at its root, refers to a captain or general who commands a mighty army. It's used over 270 times in the Bible. The King James translates this name as the Lord of Hosts, while the NIV uses Lord Almighty. We've already described the name Jehovah as the self-existent one who is personal, present, powerful, and the ultimate promise keeper. The word Sabaoth, or Sabbath, can refer to one of 4 large groups, or a large quantity of hosts, a huge congregation, an immense army, the celestial bodies like the stars, or the innumerable angelic beings. The Lord Almighty has all the hosts of heaven ready to do his work. Psalm 24 verse 10 asks the question, who is he, this King of glory? The Lord Almighty, Jehovah Sabaoth, he is the King of glory. God is the king and commander over every army, both spiritual and earthly, and he mobilizes them to accomplish his purposes. Amos 4 verse 13 describes this name of God in a greater detail. Quote, he who forms the mountains, creates the wind, and reveals his thoughts to man, he who turns dawn to darkness, and treads the high places of the earth. The Lord God Almighty, Jehovah Sabaoth, is his name. When we truly understand this name for God, we will never view him the same again. He has unlimited power, unbridled might, and untarnished glory. He is impossible to describe and incredible to imagine. Charles Spurgeon once preached, the Lord of hosts is on our side as our august ally. Woe unto those who fight against him, for they shall flee like the smoke before the wind when he gives the word to scatter them. The name Jehovah Sabaoth is used when God's people are in deep weeds. And lastly, number 10, God is my banner, Jehovah Nissi. After the victory was won by the Israelites over the Amalekites, Exodus 17 verse 15 says that Moses built an altar and called it, the Lord is my banner, Jehovah Nissi. Moses recognized that the battle was won only because they fought under the Lord's banner. Look at verse 16. For hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. When the banner is lifted up, we will be victorious. Psalm 20, verse 5, we will shout for joy when we are victorious and will lift up our banners in the name of our God. May the Lord grant all your requests. Psalm 60, verse 4, but for those who fear you, you have raised a banner to be unfurled against the bow. Song of Songs 2, verse 4, he has taken me to the banquet hall, and his banner over me is love. Even today, a banner is a standard that bears the colors by which a military unit is identified and behind which troops rally. The standard bearer carries the colors, and marching bands are often led by people carrying a banner that identifies the band, and after which the musicians fall in line. So when Moses names the altar Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner, he proclaims as a memorial, I rally behind Jehovah. It is he to whom I look. It is he whom I will follow. God bless.